I never thought a single night could shatter the life I'd built. My name is Hannah, and I've spent years crafting a perfect suburban dream with my husband, Ethan, just outside Chicago. A cozy home, quiet mornings, and a love I thought was unbreakable. But beneath the surface, cracks have been forming, and at a glitzy corporate party, under the glow of chandeliers and the weight of ambition, I found myself caught in a dangerous game I didn't choose to play. A powerful man's gaze lingered too long. A whispered deal turned my world upside down, and now I'm carrying a secret so heavy it threatens to drown me. What did I do to protect the life we dreamed of, and at what cost? Stick around to find out how one decision changed everything. Picture this: the faint hum of a late autumn evening, the kind where the air bites just enough to remind you winter's creeping in, and I'm standing in front of my bedroom mirror, tracing the outline of my own reflection like I'm searching for something I've lost. My name's Hannah, and at 30, I've carved out a life that looks pretty on the outside. Neat, suburban, safe. But beneath the surface, there's a restlessness I can't quite name. I live just outside Chicago in a 2-story home with Ethan, my husband of 5 years. He's 32, a mid-level manager at Nexus Innovations, a tech firm that's all glass towers and cold ambition. We've built something together, a rhythm of shared mornings over coffee and quiet nights on the couch. But lately, there's a strain pulling at the seams. It's not that we fight often. It's more like we've forgotten how to really see each other. I'm a freelance graphic designer, which means I set my own hours, sketching logos and branding from the comfort of our home office. It's freeing, but it also means I'm often roped into playing the dutiful spouse at Ethan's corporate events. Those gatherings are a world I don't belong in. Suits and forced smiles, champagne flutes clinking over deals I don't understand. And at the center of it all is Victor Langston, Ethan's boss. He's 45, tall, with features so sharp they could cut glass, a jawline like a blade, eyes that pin you in place. He's got this commanding aura, the kind that fills a room without effort, and a smile that curves just enough to charm, but never warms his gaze. People whisper about him, call him charismatic in public and ruthless behind closed doors. I've seen both sides at past events, the way he can make you feel like the only person in the room, then turn and slice through someone's career with a single word. There's a big company party coming up tonight at some swanky downtown hotel, all crystal chandeliers and overpriced hors d'oeuvres. Ethan's been a bundle of nerves for weeks, pacing our kitchen at odd hours, muttering about numbers and deadlines. He's gunning for a promotion to deputy director, a step up that would finally give us some breathing room financially. I get it. Money's tight, and we've got dreams of a bigger place, maybe even starting a family someday. But his obsession with climbing the ladder is wearing on me. Every conversation circles back to Nexus, to Victor, to what he needs to do to impress. I'm tired of being the supportive shadow, dragged to these events where I feel like an outsider, sipping wine while corporate sharks circle around me. And then there's Victor himself. I've caught his eyes on me before at these functions, lingering just a second too long. It's subtle, easy to dismiss as my imagination running wild. Maybe it's just the way he looks at everyone, sizing them up. But there. As I step into the grand ballroom of the downtown hotel, the sheer opulence hits me like a wave. The chandeliers above glitter like frozen starlight, casting golden reflections across the polished marble floor. The air is thick with the scent of expensive perfume and the faint tang of champagne, glasses clinking in a symphony of forced cheer. I can hear the low murmur of corporate small talk, a hum of ambition and rivalry woven into every word. Men in tailored suits stand in tight clusters, their laughter a little too loud, while their spouses glide through the crowd in gowns that shimmer like liquid silk. There's an undercurrent here, a silent game of who can stand out, who can catch the right eye, and I feel it pressing against me like an invisible weight. I'm clinging to a glass of wine, the cool stem grounding me as I hover near Ethan. He's a bundle of nerves, shaking hands with colleagues, his smile so tight it looks like it might crack. I can see the strain in the way his shoulders hunch, the way he keeps glancing around, searching for the one person who matters most tonight. I take a sip of the wine, letting the tartness linger on my tongue, but it does little to ease the sense of being out of place. I'm not one of them, not really. I'm just the artist in a room full of sharks, dressed up in a deep blue gown that feels more like a costume than anything else. The crowd parts for a moment, and that's when I see him. Victor Langston, making his entrance like he owns the very air we're breathing. And maybe he does. He strides in with a confidence that's almost tangible, his tall frame cutting through the room, his dark suit impeccably fitted to every sharp angle of him. His voice, deep and resonant, slices through the chatter as he greets employees, each word carrying a weight that demands attention. I'm across the room, half hidden behind a cluster of people, but for a fleeting second, his eyes find mine. It's a piercing look, intense and unreadable, and it sends a shiver racing down my spine, prickling my skin. I tell myself it's nothing, just the way he is, always assessing, always in control. But my pulse quickens anyway, and I look away, focusing on the ruby liquid in my glass. Ethan leans in close, his breath warm against my ear as he whispers, "We've got to make an impression tonight, Hannah. This deputy director spot, it's everything. Victor's watching." I nod, forcing a small smile, though inside I'm screaming with boredom. I want to be home, curled up with my sketchbook, not playing this game of corporate chess. But I'm here for him, so I straighten my shoulders and murmur something supportive, even as my mind wanders. We move through the crowd, Ethan introducing me to colleagues whose names I forget the moment they're spoken. I make polite conversation, mentioning my design work when asked, though their eyes glaze over almost instantly. I'm standing there in the ballroom, the buzz of the party swirling around me like a storm I can't escape, when I see Ethan weaving through the crowd toward me. His face is pale, almost ghostly under the golden light of the chandeliers, but there's a strange fire in his eyes, a mix of hope and something unsteady, like he's teetering on the edge of a cliff. My stomach twists as he reaches me, his hand brushing my arm as he pulls me toward a quiet corner near a towering floral arrangement. The scent of lilies is cloying, almost suffocating, as he leans in close, his voice low and trembling. "Victor just spoke to me," he says, barely above a whisper. He said he'll make me deputy director. But there's a condition. He wants you to go upstairs with him, for a private chat." The words hit me like a punch to the chest. My heart starts pounding, a frantic rhythm that drowns out the clinking glasses and hollow laughter around us. I stare at Ethan, waiting for him to laugh, to say it's some kind of sick joke, but he won't meet my eyes. He's looking at the floor, his jaw tight, stammering out excuses. "It's probably just a formality, Hannah. A test of loyalty or something. You know how these corporate games work." But I don't know. I don't understand how he can even suggest this, how he can stand there and rationalize something so vile. Anger surges through me, hot and sharp, mingling with a deep, aching betrayal. My voice comes out in a hiss, barely controlled. "Are you serious? You think I'd just go along with this? For a promotion?" His eyes finally lift to mine, and I see the desperation there, raw and unfiltered. "We need this, Hannah. You know we do. The money, the stability. It's everything we've been fighting for. I've put years into this company. Please, just hear him out. That's all I'm asking." His words are a plea, but they feel like a blade twisting in my gut. I want to scream, to storm out of this gilded cage of a room and never look back. But I see the weight of his dreams in his hunched shoulders, the way his hands tremble as he waits for my answer. We've been scraping by for so long, always one unexpected bill away from drowning. Against every instinct screaming in my head, I clench my jaw and nod, telling myself it's just a conversation, just words, nothing more. I turn away from Ethan, my legs feeling like lead as I make my way toward the elevators on the far side of the ballroom. Victor is already there, standing with his hands clasped behind his back, that smug smile curling his lips as if he knew I'd come. His presence is a dark magnet, pulling me in despite the revulsion churning inside me. The elevator doors slide open with a soft ding, and I step inside, the mirrored walls reflecting my pale face, my wide eyes. Victor follows, his silence heavier than any words could be. The ride up to the executive suite feels like a descent. Each floor we pass a step deeper into something I can't name but can feel, like a shadow creeping over my soul. The doors open into a dimly lit hallway, and he leads me to a suite at the end. The room is all sleek lines and muted luxury, a king-sized bed dominating the space, the city lights glittering through a massive window, like a cruel reminder of the world I'm leaving behind. The door clicks shut behind us, and before I can even gather my thoughts, Victor moves. His hands are on my waist, firm and possessive, pulling me against him. My breath catches as I feel his lips graze my neck, a hungry, invasive touch that sends ice through my veins. I freeze, my mind a chaotic whirl of panic and disbelief, every muscle locked in place as I try to process what's happening. His voice is a low murmur against my skin, dripping with promises about Ethan's future, about the life we could have if I just let this happen. Each word is a weight, piling on guilt and pressure until I'm standing in the elevator with Victor, the descent back to the ballroom feeling like a plunge into an abyss I can't escape. My hands are trembling, tucked tightly against my sides, as if holding myself together might stop the unraveling inside. The mirrored walls throw back a distorted version of me, makeup smudged under my eyes, lips pale despite the gloss I'd applied earlier, a stranger wearing my face. Victor, on the other hand, stands there cool as ever, adjusting his cufflinks with a casual flick of his wrist, a faint smirk playing on his lips like he's just closed another deal. The scent of his cologne clings to me, sharp and invasive, turning my stomach with every breath. I want to scrub it off, to erase every trace of what happened upstairs. But I can't. Not yet. Not while I'm trapped in this metal box with him, the silence between us heavier than the weight of the world. The doors finally slide open with that same soft ding, and the noise of the party rushes back in, a wave of laughter and clinking glasses that feels like a mockery of the storm raging in my chest. I force my legs to move, stepping out into the glittering chaos of the ballroom, my heels clicking against the marble floor as I plaster a smile on my face. It's brittle, I know, but it's all I've got to keep from shattering right here in front of everyone. Victor strides ahead, his posture all confidence and charm, already waving to a group of suits as if nothing in the world could touch him. I trail behind, my heart thundering so loud I'm sure someone will hear it, every beat a reminder of the secret I'm carrying. My eyes dart through the crowd, searching for Ethan, and when I find him across the room, our gazes lock for a split second. His expression is unreadable, a mix of hope and anxiety, and it cuts me deeper than I can bear. I look away, unable to hold that connection, feeling the guilt coil tighter around my ribs. I grab a flute of champagne from a passing tray, the cold glass a fleeting anchor as I take a sip, then another, hoping the bubbles will steady the shaking in my hands. It doesn't work. The fizz burns down my throat, but my nerves are still raw, exposed like live wires. Victor's laughter booms from somewhere to my left, loud and performative, drawing eyes and smiles from the crowd. He's the perfect showman, weaving through the room, shaking hands, clapping shoulders, acting like the last hour never happened. I watch him, a bitter taste mixing with the champagne, wondering how he can switch it off so easily, how he can play the benevolent leader while I'm drowning in the aftermath of his control. I can't stand here any longer. Not with the weight of eyes on me, not with Ethan's presence pulling at me like a magnet I'm too afraid to face. I mumble an excuse to no one in particular, and weave through the crowd toward the restroom. My steps hurried, desperate for a moment to breathe. The hallway outside the ballroom is quieter, the muffled hum of the party fading as I push through the door into the stark, sterile space. The fluorescent lights are harsh, casting sharp shadows as I lean over the sink, turning on the faucet with a trembling hand. Cold water rushes out, and I cup it in my palms, splashing it against my face, letting the icy shock jolt me back to some semblance of reality. Droplets cling to my lashes as I lift my head, staring into the mirror. The woman looking back at me isn't Hannah, not the one I know anyway. Her eyes are hollow, haunted, framed by streaks of mascara I didn't fully wipe away. My reflection feels like a betrayal, a shell hiding the mess I've become. What have I done? The question loops in my mind, relentless, each word a stab of guilt. I think of Ethan, of the life we've built, the quiet promises we made to each other over late-night conversations and shared dreams. How could I let this happen? How could I let Victor's influence twist me into something I don't recognize? I'm terrified of Ethan finding out, of seeing the disappointment I'm back in the ballroom now, the weight of what happened upstairs still pressing down on me like a stone I can't shake off. The crowd is buzzing louder than ever, a sea of glittering gowns and sharp suits, their voices blending into a roar that feels like it's mocking the chaos inside me. I've managed to pull myself together just enough to stand beside Ethan again, though every muscle in my body feels taut, ready to snap. My hands are still unsteady, so I clutch another glass of champagne, letting the cool rim press against my lips, as if it could drown out the bitter taste of guilt. The golden light from the chandeliers seems harsher now, casting long shadows that make every smile in the room look like a mask. Then, it happens. Victor steps onto a small raised platform at the far end of the room, a spotlight catching him in a halo of artificial warmth. The chatter dies down almost instantly, every eye turning to him as if he's a conductor about to strike up a symphony. His presence is magnetic, undeniable, and I hate how my gaze is drawn to him despite everything. He taps a spoon against his glass, the sharp ting cutting through the last murmurs of conversation, and then his voice rings out, deep and commanding, filling every corner of the space. "Ladies and gentlemen, I have an important announcement to make tonight," he begins, his tone polished, almost regal. "After much consideration, I'm thrilled to name Ethan Warwick as our new deputy director at Nexus Innovations." The room erupts in applause, a thunderous wave of sound that crashes over me. I turn to Ethan, and his face, oh, his face, it's like the sun breaking through a storm. His eyes are wide, shining with tears of pure, unfiltered joy, and his smile is so genuine it cuts me to the core. Before I can even process it, he pulls me into a tight hug, his arms wrapping around me with a warmth I don't deserve. I force my lips to curve upward, whispering, "Congratulations, I'm so proud of you," into his ear, but inside, I'm sinking. The guilt is a tidal wave, dragging me under, because I know the cost of this moment. I know what I sacrificed to make this happen, and every cheer from the crowd feels like a fist slamming into my chest. The applause keeps rolling, and soon glasses are raised in a toast to Ethan's success. The clinking of crystal echoes around us, a sharp celebratory sound that grates against my raw nerves. I lift my own glass, mirroring the motions of everyone else, but each sip of champagne tastes like ash. My eyes drift upward for a fleeting second, toward the high ceiling of the ballroom, and I can't help but think of the suite directly above us, the room where I let everything unravel. The party continues in full swing down here, oblivious to the shadow of betrayal that looms just out of sight, and the irony of it all twists in my gut like a knife. How can they celebrate so freely when I'm carrying this darkness inside me? I'm still caught in that bitter thought when I see Victor approaching us through the crowd, his stride as confident as ever, his smile a perfect mask of benevolence. My stomach lurches as he reaches Ethan, extending a hand in a gesture of public congratulations. "Well done, Ethan," he says, his voice smooth as silk, dripping with a sincerity I know is false. "You've earned this. I look forward to seeing what you bring to the role." Ethan shakes his hand vigorously, gratitude spilling out of him in a rush of thanks, completely unaware of the undercurrent beneath Victor's words. I stand there, frozen, watching the exchange like it's happening to someone else, my heart pounding so hard I'm sure it'll betray me. Then Victor turns to me, his expression shifting to something polite, almost detached, as he offers a small nod. "Hannah, a pleasure as always," he says, his tone neutral for anyone listening. But as he extends his hand, something shifts. His fingers brush against mine in a handshake that's too deliberate, and then, in a move so subtle no one else could notice, he drags a single finger across my palm. The drive home with Ethan feels like a journey through a fog I can't shake off. The car hums softly along the quiet streets, the city of Chicago a blur of neon and shadow beyond the window. I'm sitting in the passenger seat, my hands folded tightly in my lap, staring out at the passing lights as they streak across the glass like fleeting memories. Ethan's behind the wheel, his energy a stark contrast to the heaviness that settled over me. Every now and then, he lets out a burst of excitement, his voice bright with disbelief as he talks about the promotion, about how this changes everything for us. "Can you believe it, Hannah? Deputy Director, we're finally getting somewhere," he says, a grin splitting his face as he glances at me. I force a small smile, nodding, but my throat feels tight, the words I want to say trapped somewhere deep inside. The silence between us stretches, thick and oppressive, despite his occasional chatter. It's as if the air in the car is charged with everything I'm not saying, everything I can't bring myself to voice. My gaze stays fixed on the window, the city lights melting into a kaleidoscope of color as my mind drags me back to the night's events. I can still feel the ghost of Victor's hands on me, the way they claimed space I didn't want to give, a violation cloaked in promises. I hear the distant thrum of the party below us in that suite, the laughter and clinking glasses a cruel backdrop to the moment I lost a piece of myself. And that final, lingering touch, unwanted, invasive, a silent assertion of power, replays in my head like a broken record. My skin prickles at the memory, a shiver running through me despite the warmth of the car. I wrap my arms around myself, trying to push it away, but it's embedded in me now, a stain I can't scrub out no matter how hard I try. We pull into the driveway of our suburban home, the familiar outline of our 2-story house looming in the dark, like a silent witness to my turmoil. Ethan cuts the engine, letting out a long, satisfied sigh as he leans back in his seat. "What a night," he murmurs, almost to himself, before turning to me with that same beaming smile. I nod again, my lips pressed into a thin line, and we step out into the cool night air. He's riding high on adrenaline and triumph, practically bouncing as we head inside, while I trail behind, my steps heavy, each one feeling like I'm dragging chains behind me. Once we're in the house, Ethan doesn't linger. He's exhausted but elated, shedding his suit jacket over a chair and heading straight for the bedroom. "I'm beat, but I've never felt better," he calls over his shoulder, his voice fading as he disappears down the hall. I hear the creak of the bed as he collapses onto it, probably already dreaming of the future this promotion promises. I don't follow right away. Instead, I find myself standing in the dim light of the bathroom, the door closed behind me, shutting out the world for just a moment. The mirror above the sink reflects a face I barely recognize, pale, drawn, with shadows under my eyes that seem deeper than they were this morning. I turn on the faucet, the rush of water a small comfort as I let it run over my hands, then splash it against my skin. I grab the soap, lathering it between my palms and start scrubbing, first my hands, then my arms, then my neck, anywhere I can still feel the echo of that night. I scrub harder, the suds foaming white as I try to wash away the guilt, the shame, the memory of what I allowed to happen. But no amount of soap can cleanse what's inside me. My skin turns red under the pressure, stinging from the friction, but it's nothing compared to the ache in my chest. I stop, hands trembling under the stream of water, and stare at the drain as the suds spiral away, taking nothing of my burden with them. Leaning against the sink, I let my head drop, my breath coming in shallow bursts. What was I thinking letting it come to this? Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.